How's it going, everybody? I'm back in Fallout 4. This time I'm at Abernathy's Farm again, and I'm going to be building a shack slash newsstand for Piper. So uh, I got the idea from, like, the main source of my idea was Piper's house in Diamond City. So uh, out front of her house, she has a capsule trailer thing. That's what she has her printing press in, and a bunch of boxes, file cabinets, other supplies that she needs to run a newspaper stand, and then a area for Nat to sell the newspapers. And so I pretty much, had the same idea. I just thought that this is kind of like an extra outlet for Publick Occurrences, I believe her newspaper is called. And yeah, so I just used the capsule out front, and I went ahead and I blocked off all of the sides with these cinder blocks because since this is on such a hilly area, because pretty much from the edge of the farm all the way down, it's just a downhill, and it's a downhill slope, and it's kind of hard to build on. So to kind of help with that, I just went ahead and blocked off the bottom a little bit so that you guys can't see the capsules really floating or whatever. And in my mind, it's just there's supports underneath it, and I actually do support the ones that you can see later. I noticed them, and I went ahead and put some cinder blocks underneath them to help. And so I'm just going to go ahead and do it on the side as well. So I really like the way that this ended up turning out, and I really like how I've never actually done a settlement where each of my settlers have their own or not settlers, but each of my followers have their own house. I've done a follower settlement before where it's I just send all of my followers to that one place, and it was Red Rocket a long time ago, and I mentioned this in another video, but it was just one building. I didn't explain what it looked like. It was just one building, and that was it. And it had a bunch of beds for all the followers and food and everything like that, and then I had some trade stands that they worked in, and the happiness was super high. Actually, that was something that was cool. Was honestly, I think it was the second settlement I had hit 100 happiness, because on my original saves I worried about that a lot. My Starlight Drive-In, which is actually a build that I really want to redo, because I think to this day my original Starlight Drive-In build was awesome, and maybe one day I'll redo it, kind of like how I did with the treehouse, but I'm not 100% sure about that. I think that I'd be able to do it a lot better now, especially with mods and all the tools that are available to me, but I just don't know how that would work out. Also, the settlement was huge for not having mods, and it would be a lot of work, especially since the amount of detail I put into settlements now. And also I feel like there's a lot of things I would change, because when I built it the first time, I built it and then I changed so much about it just because I was so worried about getting 100% happiness. So it's not even what it originally was, even on the save. So maybe if I do a video on it, it'll be easier to explain. But I really want to redo that. build, kind of like how I did with the treehouse in Sanctuary. But let me know if you guys would like to see that or see more of those kinds of videos, because I would like to redo some of my older builds. I went through a lot of them recently, showing a friend, and I really thought, like, I used to think for some reason that I spent a lot of time playing around with the settlements, but really I didn't. I was looking at them on my original save, and it just didn't really end up being like as built up as I really remember. I thought for some reason that it was like a huge thing, but I guess it was probably just because I build so much now. That's probably why I feel like it wasn't as big of a deal to me. But compared to how I build now and how each settlement is like a huge settlement, uh, that's probably mainly why it doesn't seem like they were very big. But back in the day, they were huge to me. I thought that they were massive amounts of building and crazy looking builds. But yeah, I might start going back and redoing some of those. But you guys just let me know what you guys would like to see, or if you guys would be interested in me redoing some of those older builds, or showing you guys those older builds, so you can tell me if you would want me to rebuild it. I might just start doing that every so often, having a video of an old build, just to show you guys kind of where I began with my building, and like how much I've grown as a like creative builder in this game. But I feel like this turns out really well, and you guys can already tell what I'm doing. I just started to close off this edge of the shack, and I knew I wanted to have like a door into or from the front to the capsule. And so I was going ahead and I was trying to figure out the right angle to fit a door in there. And so I go ahead and I place these on both sides, and I glitch them into each other. And then, since this is a barn door, for some reason, or warehouse door, for some reason the rug glitch, I thought it would work because I could place it on the floor, but it doesn't. So I just do a select all, and it would make sense that it doesn't work, like thinking about it, because the rug glitch doesn't work on like moving objects or objects that snap. So it would make a lot of sense that it doesn't work. But you can see that I just fit it in, and I move the rug out. And then next, I go ahead and close off the sides of the capsule, because I want that to be like its own building, and that's where Piper runs her newsstand out of. And so I go ahead and I close off this side, and then I go ahead and I close off the other side. And the reason there's like a jump cut here in a moment is because I actually couldn't get it, because I didn't think about the fact that there's concrete blocks right underneath it. So I went ahead and placed another rug, and so I did 2 rugs and rug glitched it in. And you'll notice that when I jump down and I look at it from the outside, I kind of highlight over both of them. Oh, I cut it out. Never mind. For some reason, I thought that I had left that in. But now it's just mainly small details. And then this took so long. So you'll notice that like this is kind of like a ridiculous thing that I'm doing. But my idea for this was, if you go into Piper's house, there's a wall that blocks off where Nat sleeps. And it's made of cinder blocks. It's kind of like thrown together. It's got some gaps in it and stuff. And so uh, the one that they did was kind of, I would say, better put together. But I went ahead and I tried to recreate it's like in a similar fashion, kind of just a cinder block wall that's like thrown together. And I thought that it actually turns out really good, and it looks like a really interesting like piece to separate the walls of the house. And you'll see in a moment when I move it into the house how it kind of fits in and really makes it seem a little bit more sectioned off, because I used it with the same purpose that like they did in the other house in Diamond City, where it's intended to section off like the bedroom or whatever. So now, just like in Diamond City, I wanted to have an area out front that if Nat were able to be at the settlement, she could stand up on the box just like in Diamond City and sell the newspapers, the Publick Occurrence newspapers. And so my idea for this was just have a couple of things. I was originally just going to have that bottom pallet, the bigger one, but it really wasn't working, so whenever I tried to pillar glitch it, it was a little bit floating in the front. So I thought I'll just put these pallets on top and then put a plywood piece across the top, and then I'll pillar glitch it in a little bit lower so that the front of that lower pallet is still sticking out, but it's still a little bit higher off the ground. And I went ahead and I placed a wooden box up there to make it seem like another newsstand. And with the CVA mod, in the wood tab and the regular structures tab outside of USO, you have these floor pieces that you can get at different angles, and I think it's like 10, 30, 60, and 90 or something like that. And I went ahead and just used those two pieces to make a ramp up to it, because it's still kind of floating off the ground. And then to make that side look like it's floating a little bit less, I went ahead and used this stair piece, and I put it at an angle and just made it slightly below so that it looked like there was something that was supporting that side of the pallet. And so the tour will be up in a moment. And just like I said, a little box on top. And finished. And so this was mainly details. Like a lot of these builds are going to be, the structures won't necessarily be too complex, but it will mainly be the decorations that really bring the build together. So I wanted to recreate something that was similar to Piper's house in Diamond City. So the house was behind the front newsstand, and so if we just go in the front door, you'll see I put a little couch. She's got some boxes and stuff like that, and you can see how that turned out. I put one of those clutter packs from that, or clutter shelves from that mod that I recently covered, and a bed, so you can see that it really sections off the room. And I really liked how that turned out, so that kind of just fits right in with the wall. And then I go ahead and I close these up too. And you can see I put tons of files down, so she's got plenty of information that she keeps. And she got a desk over here with a notepad and pen, because she's got to keep tabs, gotta have something to write. She's finding stories everywhere. But if you guys like this build, make sure you guys let me know. And subscribe, check out some other videos, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.